Welcome to Pioneer Potpourri, a production of Vol State's communications classes. Each week we introduce you to interesting events and people involved in the Sumner County community.
Hello, I'm Katie Burke, and today my guest is Diane Vaughn, Program Assistant of the 4-H program of Sumner County, and June Dairy Month Chairperson, Abigail Burnett. Thank you both for joining me today. I was wondering if you could give us a little bit of background on yourselves.
Well, I'm a 4-H program assistant here at UT Extension in Sumner County, and I've been a program assistant for almost 20 years now. And the main thing that we do is go into the schools here in Sumner County, starting in the 4th grade. Okay. And teach communication skills, actually, is what we're teaching these kids. You know, it's not, and different ways to communicate, not just talking. And of course, those kids have to give speeches. It scares them to death, but we walk them through it. So, but also, you know, in marketing, like they make posters and just other different ways to communicate. And that's the beginning of their 4-H experience. But of course, 4-H goes all the way through high school, but then it's like Abigail here. She chose to do that and came to us and do different projects. That we have different project groups that we work with after school also. So.
Well, I'm a rising junior at Portland High School, and I've been in 4-H since 4th grade. Started out with the Chick Chain project, and then I don't really know how to say no when they ask me to do stuff, so they asked me, and I'm like, all right, I'm here, I got y'all. So yeah, I love 4-H. It's a great place to learn vital skills that you're gonna need. That's where I've gotten more comfortable giving speeches, because you know, in 4th grade, that was a wrecking ball giving my first speech.
So it was a little rough, you said.
Yes, it was very rough, but you know, I've just been learning great skills. Like this Saturday, I'm leaving to go to Nebraska for a hunting skills competition, and I'm just learning all these great skills that I'll need for adulthood. And
okay, the hunting trip to Nebraska sounds really exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. A little nervous, but I'm excited.
But you're excited. That's awesome. What encouraged you, Diane, to become a 4-H assistant?
Program. Well, I had grown up in 4-H. My dad was a volunteer 4-H leader. He loved 4-H. He was a 4-Her himself back in the 1940s. And he had actually, it's kind of a tearjerker story, but he had lost his mother at age 11. And the extension agent had come out to the farm in Jackson, Ohio, where he was growing up, and had gotten him involved in 4-H to kind of get his mind off of his troubles and things like that. And he loved 4-H so much, and he showed Hereford heifers was his main project. And he was really, when he turned 18, he became a volunteer leader. And every state has, which 4-H is worldwide, but every state does, it's through the extension program at the land grant universities, like ours is the University of Tennessee. Of course, it's Ohio State University there. And so he became a volunteer leader at 18 and started his own 4-H club. So I didn't have really a choice when I came along. I was the 3rd out of 5. And so we got to all do different projects in 4-H. When I turned 16, he made me take a wheels project. He said, if you're going to drive a car, you need to know how to change a tire, change the oil and those types of things, and, clean out your carburetor. Back then, that's what you had. I'm telling my age now, but anyway. So I just grew up in it and loved the program. And so when this opportunity came up, to become a 4-H leader, I jumped on it and thought, I'm hoping to do my dad proud. So
I think you are. I definitely think you are.
No, well,
yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
In your position as a 4-H program leader, what interests you the most?
The biggest thing is watching the kids grow and learn. Like Abigail. We've seen her since she was in the 4th grade. Now we have her brother and sister also, her younger siblings. and she's showing leadership skills. And the main thing we focus on with 4-H is citizenship in your community and being a good leader, and how you can learn those life skills that is going to make you a great leader in your community. And I think that's what we need these days, is to teach these kids those types of things to give back to their community. And that's my biggest joy in doing that. So, I mean, even last night I was in Food Lion in Gallatin, and I saw this young boy circling me, and I looked back at him, he goes, "I thought that was you, Miss Diane Ban." And I have so many kids walk up to me, even in the store, "You're my 4-H leader." And I was like, "Yes," and I have 700 different kids throughout the month, so I don't always remember their names. So,
Well, how do you think a 4-H agent impacts the community that they're working in?
well, that's a great thing. You know, we have 2 4-H agents in our office, Clint Parker and Whitney Whitaker, which Whitney used to be a 4-H'er there when I first started working there, so now she's the agent. So, and then we also have 3 program assistants, which myself and Bridget Garrison and Carrie Latimer are all 4-H program assistants. And we're all working together to try to, it's the biggest thing is like helping your community, and like I said before, and trying to teach these kids that it's best to give back. And to be a good leader, you have to be able to give back to the community and look for those needs that are in the community that you can help with, you know. So we always are looking at citizenship projects, and then trying to teach them whether it's the civic government, or, you know, helping the kids to learn all about what their community needs are.
Definitely in the club level, I know y'all will have like the speech, and then you'll have bring a canned food item in. And so they're teaching you the leadership, and then they're teaching you about you need to still give back to your community. So like my first speech I did was about community service. And I was like, if we don't have community service, then our country is not going to be beautiful anymore. You're going to have trash everywhere because there's no one there to go pick it up. And so that's what I feel like we're learning in 4-H, is we're learning we have to give back to the community before we can benefit ourselves.
How do you think, with our youth, that the 4-H program helps the community learn and grow with those little kiddos that are in that program?
Well, even this morning we were at a daycare, and, you know, one of the questions we asked them, you know, is, you know, have you ever heard of 4-H before? And they were mainly younger than 4th grade, so they may not have heard of it before, and some of them have because they're older siblings or things. Oh yes, it's all about contests and things, which we do have a lot of judging teams. And also to be responsible. I mean, I see a trend of parents doing so much for their kids, and I'm guilty of it too. You know, how are the kids going to learn and grow if they're not responsible enough to do these projects, you know, or do it on their own, or so, you know, helping them to learn what those life skills are that you need to be successful in life.
Give us details on June's Dairy Month.
So June Dairy Month actually started in 1937, and it was from local shop owners because they had this surplus of milk. Okay. And so they were always get out and drink more milk. And then in 1939, it actually became an official June is Dairy Month. And that was because there was all this surplus, and they wanted to go back and celebrate all the farmers.
Well, think about it. When you have your spring calving season, about June is about the time that those calves are being weaned. So that's where you're getting that surplus milk. Oh. And so they had to have something, you know, they really needed to promote the sale of milk so they could, you know, have something to do with it. And this year's theme with June Dairy Month, the Dairy Alliance always gives us a a theme each year. And this year's is really fun, I think. And then, so it's Dairy Potter, real milk, real delicious. And so we always have to come up with our own theme, twist on that, because this is a contest that they are sponsoring too, and it's all about how many contacts you make or throughout the month of June. And so we came up with
Real milk magic.
because milk you can make into so many different things. I mean, there's yogurt, there's cheese, there's of course ice cream,
Butter.
creams, and it can be made into so many things. And just to teach kids that, like this morning, a lot of times with these kids, we ask them some questions, about cows and things, and we asked them, I got tickled at one little girl this morning. We said, what does a cow make? And they said, steak. And I said, well, yes.
I was like, yeah.
That's precious. That's precious. Okay. Too bad you couldn't have got it on video.
Oh, I know.
So Dairy Month then actually began to celebrate America's family farm or milking farms.
The dairy farms, yes. And of course, there are goat dairies also, but we are focusing on cow dairies at this point in time, but through them.
And now it's more support your local dairies, because you have these really large dairies. Like we were watching a virtual tour last night, and they milk 12,000 cows a day, 3 times a day.
Wow, that's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week process.
Yes, there's no breaks, there's no holidays, weekends. It's every day you're out on the farm. And now it's more of we need to give back to our local farmers, because the dairy industry's dying. You get these big dairies that just take over, and then these little dairies are just taking over because it's so expensive.
Well, that's something interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, now talking about the, shutting down of local dairies, how many family-run dairy farms do you think there are in Tennessee / our Sumner County area?
Well, so in Sumner County, we only have 2 more dairies left. We have one in Westmoreland, the Rippies, and then one in Portland, the Hesters. And then in Tennessee, isn't there about 180 dairies?
There's about 180 dairy farms in Tennessee, and they average about 167 cows there. Now, I think the Rippies around about 70, 80 cows there, but their milking parlor, I can't remember if they have a 6-stall or 8-stall milking parlor at the Rippies, and the Hesters, I don't remember there either.
I think they're about 100.
I think so.
And you said that was 167 cows per farm, approximately?
Well, here in Tennessee now, the U.S. average is about 1,000 to 5,000 cattle per farm. But it all changes depending on where you're at. And
Okay. Now, with that many cows, you've got to have a lot of land. And I'm just wondering, for one cow, how much land is needed, being it's a dairy cow? Because I know there's different specifics acreage for different types of cows, like, if it was beef or something else.
So actually, in the first 2 years of life, they need about 1.8 acres of grass that they can eat off of per cow. But when they're in wet season, while they're milking, that's about 10 months out of each year, they actually stay in a barn the whole time. They don't get out because they're not stressed, but they have all that, they're trying to just produce all this milk, and so they don't want to go out and get hot or anything. So the barns are usually humid controlled, they have fans all in it, so.
Well, that's pretty good.